And well, Iran has agreed to set up a Strait of Hormuz telephone hotline to prevent and resolve any misunderstandings with the US or other countries when ships are passing through the vital waterway. Iran's chief negotiator has said that Iran and the United States had reached an agreement to establish coordination mechanisms, a telephone hotline and a center so that if there is any ambiguity or any issue, ships can contact that center. And Ms. Irina, unfortunately, because we've also seen deaths during the course of this war, because of these misunderstandings, Iran wanting to have a telephone hotline to prevent or resolve any misunderstandings is welcome. But there is a lot of conflict over Strait of Hormuz, because even as the negotiations were taking place, we did see Iran going on to say Strait of Hormuz is closed while the US said it's open. So is Strait of Hormuz, does it still remain the biggest bargaining chip for Iran, perhaps even more than the nuclear program?
Well, it's certainly a leverage that Iran has discovered it does not want to give up. It's a sort of a Schrodinger's strait at this point, which is somehow both open and closed at the same time, depending on who you ask. Trump claims it's open simply because US is not enforcing the blockade on its own end. It has allowed Iranian tankers to pass, and it lifted all sanctions over Iran, including allowing US distributors to pay for Iranian oil with dollars. But Iran, for its own part, has stopped and harassed ships using drones and military threats, which means that as far as anyone but the US is concerned, it is very much still closed. And the fact that the mines are still there, creating a potential lethal threat, regardless of Iran's direct actions, also means that it's not technically open until it's demined. So while the telephone hotline is indeed welcome in preventing episodes of violence and death, it certainly does not resolve the underlying economic and logistical problem.
Okay, all right. In fact, in the backdrop of the US-Iran peace talks, the Iranian president is all set to arrive in Pakistan on a state visit. Pezeshkian is expected to hold talks with the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the Pakistani Army Chief Asim Munir, with the evolving US-Iran peace process high on the agenda. In fact, it also comes close on the heels of the talks that took place in Geneva. And Ms. Irina, I want to ask you on an Israeli perspective on how Pakistan has been at the center of these talks for a country that has openly taken a position against Israel. How does Israel view this? And is peace really possible when you have a country like Pakistan that is in the middle of these negotiations?
I think Israel views the situation with extreme skepticism. First of all, Pakistan does not actually have influence over Iran. At best, it can pass on messages, and there's been doubts by Israel and by others about whether Pakistan is actually transmitting communications accurately and whether it's not, in fact, pushing its own agenda behind the scenes. But the other issue is that Pakistan stands to gain from Iran strengthening its hand in the region. Part of Pakistan's military junta, its government, is very much connected to Iranian political elites and has always been that way. Another part of the Pakistani government is coordinating closely with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Turkey at this time, and certainly with Qatar. So there is a new security architecture that is emerging, and that is definitely at least partially hostile to Israel and to Israel's interests in the region. None of that seems promising in terms of any sort of long-term peace or integration in the region. It looks like there are some countries that are looking out for their own interests regarding Iran because they perhaps do not trust the US to be the security guarantor anymore. And it certainly seems that Iran is taking advantage of these friendly relations to maximize its own advantage.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for joining us with your perspective, with your expertise on the matter. With that, it's time for us to slip into a very short break here, but we come back with what's happening in the United Kingdom. 6 different changes in the Prime Minister in 7 years. What is that about? Who is going to be the next Prime Minister? We get you all the details after this short break.